Hello and welcome to Player Toons, the segment where we talk about anime and cartoons that interest us. Today we're going to do a bit of rehashing, but not too much. It's just the new episodes haven't really come out yet, and they're being a little slow with them, so I'm just going to plow through it confidently like I always do. Today I have my co-host with me. This has been Fearless Soul, and I wonder if he'll introduce himself again today.
Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood Duck McGavin.
All right, we're going to kick this off by asking something of a tried a question about Boruto. So, what do you think of the series so far, Duck?
Well, I haven't watched the full series, but I have watched the first two episodes. I think it does a good job of trying to differentiate itself from Naruto, even though it is within the same world and series.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm of the opposite opinion because it's getting started in much the same way, with him being introduced by a tough enemy that he has to surpass.
Well, I'd say it's not completely different, but Naruto came in with the stigma of basically everyone hating him. And Boruto comes in with a small stigma of people being like, oh, hey, your father is the Hokage, so obviously you're not going to get in as much trouble. It's nowhere near what Naruto had to begin with. On top of that, they do a much better job, at least in my personal opinion, of explaining things. Having Naruto's or Boruto's friend, I'm so bad with names, I apologize, but his new friend being able to ask things like what is chakra and ninjutsu and all these other things, and having it being explained, not so much like, all right, here's all these things you need to know, is more like, oh, hey, here's someone who doesn't know things, and it will allow new people to the series to learn them.
Yeah, they just basically use him for the information dump. But
Yeah.
that aside, I think Boruto is a bit more of a wimp than his father, personally. It just, I mean, he has pretty much the same approach. He'll come at the enemy the same way until it works. But
Yeah. I think his dad had the advantage of having, a wealth of fucking chakra, as
yeah,
opposed to Boruto, who's going off of his own strengths. Now, keep
yeah,
in mind, I have not finished the original Naruto or Shippuden. I will, after watching this, I definitely want to actually think about finishing it. I just don't know if I have much time to do it.
these shonen heroes usually have at least one strength they can refine over the time and just become very good at it. Like Naruto's chakra. It was expounded upon in the series that his is about four times what a normal ninja's is.
I think it's more than that, but yeah, Naruto with the
His normal chakra is
Beast
like that
has a
though.
lot more.
That's not counting the nine tails almost infinite chakra,
Hmm.
but his own chakra is four times what Kakashi's is, and he's a seasoned, Kage level ninja himself.
Yeah,
Boruto, I don't think his is quite as high, but I think over time we'll probably see a different side of him that'll probably make up for his deficiency in chakra. Like he'll probably be more intelligent or something.
yeah, he does seem slightly more tactful.
Yeah, because he seems to come up with strategies a little bit better, and they're a little bit um quicker and thought out, just snappier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Kind of like that about him. I enjoy a shonen hero that doesn't just get by on guts alone.
I do wish, however, like I understand that it's going to happen, and I'm sure that I will grow to enjoy them if it's anything close to what the original Naruto was. But a lot of the characters kind of feel like knockoffs, not exactly in a bad way. Similar to the way that when Sonic came out, it felt like a knockoff of Mario, just faster, quote unquote.
Seriously, Sonic felt like a knockoff of Mario to you?
Back in the day, it did feel very similar.
Huh.
Original Sonic and original Mario, both platformers. The original Sonic wasn't that fast, if you recall,
Yeah, I mean, I played Sonic
especially any of
3.
the water levels.
Yeah, I played
Ugh.
Sonic 3 as my first Sonic, and I went back to Sonic 1 and then 2. But
Hmm.
Sonic 3 on the Sega Genesis was the first Sonic I had ever played. And in that game, it was fairly fast. He was running on water a lot of the time.
I believe my first one I played on PC was Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, that's when Sonic 3 is when he first met Knuckles. I don't know when Sonic and Knuckles came out.
I don't know. All I know is he eventually this is getting off topic, but eventually he got to the point where he was fast, but he started off a little bit slow. My point being is you can draw a parallel between Naruto and Boruto in the fact that a lot of the characters do feel very similar, and I do think that they are relying on a lot of the same stereotypes and or personality types. And I understand,
Yeah,
yes, they're a lot of them are the children of the previous people, but it's still something that I'm gonna have to get used to.
yeah. I mean, it's easier to just hash out the same formula in a new series than it is to just come up with something completely new. That takes time and energy.
Yeah, I mean, look at One Piece. They do the same thing for basically every arc, which don't get me wrong, I still love. I love One Piece, but they just do the same loop of over and over of basically there's a some bad thing that is doing something bad. Through the power of love and friendship, Luffy and the gang will barely do it, and then they'll do it again, and then they'll do it again. I love it. Like I will always love flavor of the week monster fights and things. Like recently, I have been watching Jackie Chan Adventures,
Oh, I miss that show.
and that flavor of the week, that what monster are we going to see this week formula, I love it. I think it's wonderful. It's not for everyone, but I like it.
And Jackie Chan is cut from a different cloth than a regular shonen hero, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a legend. I wish I
Uh,
could move like that without breaking bones. Anyway,
oh, Jackie Chan's broken plenty bones. Don't you worry. He just
yeah,
gets up.
doing his own stunts.
Mhm.
So, that being said, how long do you think we've got until we see a major conflict?
Well, again, haven't caught up with the series. I think they're on episode 7, but I would say probably within the first 10 episodes.
Yeah,
I
me
think right
too.
now they're probably going to do the same thing that they did with the original Naruto, establish everything and then start some sort of conflict.
Because if
Like
you remember,
it took in the original
oh, go
Naruto,
ahead,
it took them going all the way through the Chunin exams
and then
before
they based the
anything
sound
big.
ninja.
Yeah, and that was when Orochimaru, right?
Yeah,
Snake dude.
Orochimaru, who was running the
Orochimaru
village of
appeared.
sound.
Mm-hmm. The Village of Sound. Uh-huh.
Not a real village,
No.
just what he named it, but he had ninja under his control that they had to fight and pretty much kill.
Yep.
I get a feeling that Boruto as a series is not going to go that far until much later in the series.
Well, they showed whatever the main end is, at least for this. I don't know if for this season, but for the foreseeable future. They just start off like saying, "Hey, this is where we're going. Get ready for that." Showing off the weird eye tattoo arm powers that apparently are appearing that you saw in Boruto, where his eye turned all silvery.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it feels gimmicky, but it kind of feels like they couldn't find a good way to be like, "Oh, hey, there's this thing," and showing in the first episode. I honestly, I kind of wish they would have waited a little bit longer before they revealed it.
Yeah, they just started with just a future arc of what he's going to turn out in 7 years or 10 years or whatever it was.
Well, that I was fine with. It's the first episode where they were showing it, like when he saw whatever the hell his friend's name is, with
Kawaki.
with the purple stuff coming off of him before he got on the train.
Yeah, that's a nerd kid.
Like the episode itself wasn't bad, but I don't know, it just seemed kind of shoehorned in. Like they had to find a way to show that this is something that Boruto can do.
Or what he's going to eventually be able to do. But what is his eye anyway? It's not a Byakugan because it sees something
No,
completely different.
I'm assuming it's probably something along the lines of sees some sort of malice influence. I'm assuming that's what that snake might be.
I question how useful that would be in combat, but being able to see somebody's malice when they're trying to kill you is pretty redundant.
Hmm? But he didn't see any of it from what's his face, so maybe it's some sort of possession,
I wonder that too, because I
or
mean,
maybe
he
some
showed,
type of special chakra.
yeah, he showed glimpses of being able to use it, but it wasn't conscious.
No.
And every time he used it, he was able to see, this purple stuff coming off this kid.
Yep, yep. And then he shouted it away somehow.
Huh? I
I don't
didn't
know
get
if you
that
remember
part.
that from the train. No, it was on the second. I think it was on the second episode. Whatever episode it was that had him on the train.
Yeah, that
When
was
he
the
was
first
about to
episode.
fall, he yelled at him and said his name, and the purple stuff just vanished off of him. And he went to grab Boruto, and then he was like, "Hey, Boruto, I can't hold you any longer." And then those other three kids caught him and Boruto.
Man, that was some weird stuff. I just
Yeah.
wonder how that eye is going to come into play, because that may be his advantage in
I
combat.
hope it's not gimmicky. I hope it's cool. I'm sure it'll be cool, but
I got sort of a weird question to ask. What are your thoughts on how the previous generation turned out, Naruto and his friends?
I roughly know how it ended, but I haven't actually watched it. And overall, I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, it was very textbook storybook type thing where Naruto gets the girl and saves the world and everything's all happy go lucky. Yay! But
I
overall, I
mean,
liked it. I like mushy endings. I really
yeah,
do.
it wasn't just him though. Sasuke was a big part of that too.
Yeah, I have no idea what
They
happened
kind
to
of.
Sasuke. I can't remember. I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember anymore.
I watched the end of the manga, so I can tell you the. I mean, are you okay with spoilers?
I'll watch it eventually, but sure. Keep in mind, you might want to put a big old spoiler warning. So anyone listening, cut
All
like
right,
30 seconds from now, and we should be
spoiler
done.
warning. Turn the stream off if you don't want to hear this. But towards the end of the Ninja War arc, where they work as a tag team to get rid of Kaguya, I believe it was, the mother of all chakra or whatever her status is in the world. Everything goes peaceful. He gets the girl, not the girl he was initially in love with, but he gets the girl. And from that point on, we get inundated with movie after movie of them just enjoying life and being faced with, non-canon villains that he had to defeat on his own for the most part. But that's just how the manga ended, really. It's
But
just,
what about Sasuke? That was my main question because I don't know what happened to Sasuke. I know what happened to everyone else. I just don't remember Sasuke or
Sasuke
Sakura for that matter. What happened to
Sasuke
either of
kind
them
of
at
went
the
off
end?
on his own and went traveling after the Ninja War, and he
That's
never
what I
stopped doing
assumed.
it because he pretty much wasn't welcome back in the village since he had did so much to destroy it.
Yeah, makes sense.
It took a long time for people to get over that, so he just left and went on his own. He started traveling as a way to keep away from Konoha village,
I
but then
have
it
to
just turned.
wonder if they're going to use him as a new Orochimaru.
I doubt it. I mean, during his travels, he was always helping Ninja, not trying to influence them to do bad things in any way like Orochimaru was,
Yeah.
or trying
I'm
to
not saying he
manipulate
will or
people.
won't. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if it did happen.
In fact, the Ninja Council, the five Kage, they were the ones that allowed him to travel towards the end as a way of keeping peace in all five nations,
Hmm.
because he was so powerful that he could be a deterrent for any evildoers that might be using ninja to do nefarious things, like be mercenaries like the Akatsuki.
Well, either
So I'm
way,
pretty
I do
sure.
think that Boruto is a pretty good starting point, even if you haven't like. There is a lot of episodes of Naruto, and there is a metric ton of manga to read. and so many movies. So honestly, to anyone listening, if you were interested in Naruto, but then you saw how many episodes there were and it was way too daunting, now is the time. There was only like 7, 8 episodes of Boruto, and it's like starting Naruto all over again. There, you don't need to know everything about that happened in Naruto. It might kind of help. Thus far, they haven't really shown a whole bunch of the old people. I mean, they show Naruto, but he happens to be Boruto's father as well as Hinata.
Yeah.
Oh, names. But for the most part, this is focusing on the new kids on the block. So if you're we're always looking at Naruto, but like, man, that looks cool, but I can't get into it because there's so many episodes, and I want to start from the beginning. Just start from here, honestly. Knowing
Yeah,
all that background stuff is nice, but I don't believe it's mandatory. At least it hasn't been shown to be yet.
it was a great series, but you can start from here and be just as okay, like Doug just said, because
Hmm.
they do a slightly better job of explaining the nature of how they use their abilities and how they're able to even summon them in the first place. Like chakra, it got explained as the innumerable cells in your body that work together to create your being,
Pretty much.
and they never did explain that too much in Naruto, other than the fact that it can be intensified and strengthened through training. What kind of training I do not know, because physical training seems to have a limited effect.
Yeah, well, you do special training for chakra, like when they were standing on trees and such.
Or just focusing. I'd imagine that in order to increase the amount of chakra you can use in your body, you'd have to do something like walking up walls for a long period of time, and over time it'll just get easier.
And then you have things like nature chakra or whatever it was that Naruto used
Yeah, wind
when he went
elemental
sage.
chakra.
Yeah, when he went sage mode.
Yeah, here's the thing. Lightning element chakra is what Sasuke uses.
Hmm.
It can pierce targets much like wind can, but it burns them too because it's lightning. Wind elemental chakra is good for movement and, like I said, piercing things. So if you have trench knives like Asuma did when he taught Naruto to use nature chakra, you can go from sticking the knives in the tree without the nature chakra to basically blasting a hole in a tree with the nature chakra.
Hmm.
That's how wind chakra works. And fire nature chakra, I'd imagine, works to make you stronger and more explosive. It strengthens the body
Man,
as well as, being able to use fire jutsu better. I couldn't even begin to guess at what earth nature chakra would do. I guess it would make you more durable.
everyone loves endurance.
Yep, especially the ladies.
On that note,
Yep. Gonna move on now. So, I mean, I know this is going a bit of a clip pace, but I'm working with what I got here, people. What do you think the story in My Hero Academia is going from here on out?
well, with the latest episode and them showing that somewhat protagonist, the guy with the hands on his face and whatever from season
Shigaraki, I
one.
believe.
Yeah, whatever the heck his name is.
Shiragaki, I believe.
But them showing him makes it seem like once again I really hope we don't do the whole thing where we're doing a tournament and then halfway through it gets interrupted because then I'd just be sad. Also, I'd like to say I think I got it across that I was trying to say that Levitating Girl would probably lose to Boom Boom Man just barely, and I love the way that that fight ended.
Yeah, because he kind of
The fact
blasted
that
everything she tried away.
he put a lot of pressure on his own arm. You saw that it messed up his arm trying to deal with all that stuff. And if she would have had just a little more endurance to go forward, he might have been in trouble.
Yeah,
But
I
she didn't know
believe that
that,
she
and
did.
she couldn't go do any more.
Yeah, she was like Deku said at the beginning when he asked him if, I mean, at one point when he had won the fight, he came up to Deku and said, "Hey, since she's hanging out with you, I thought that you may have given her a plan to beat me." He said, "No, she was just leading you around by the nose the whole time, and that's what
Yeah.
she was doing. For every time she charged him, she basically went had him low, so he'd have to blast up the earth around him, and then she would float it into the air where he couldn't even recognize where it was, right above his head, while he was dealing with her on the ground. And then when she thought she had stored up enough, she just released it, and it all fell on him. The only thing is that he blasted it away along with her next attack. I don't know
Yep.
what you call that attack though, because it was real intense. It reached the crowd how big the explosion was. I didn't think he was capable of that, but it messed up his arm too.
Yeah. Well, it does show that there's a slight weakness in explosions. That means that there is a shockwave that does affect him as well.
That may be. I mean, everybody's got a weakness in their quirk, and it's been explained what those weaknesses are for the most part. Like the guy that shoots beams out of his nasal. I mean,
Naval.
out of his navel with the belt. He gets stomach aches if he uses too much at once.
Yeah, but we haven't
Um,
really seen too much of what is his name's explosions because he hasn't really gone all out.
yeah, he hasn't needed to, but it seems like like you said, the shockwaves affect him to the point where it could damage his limbs, much the way Deku's powers affect him, but it's not as severe.
Yeah.
But I was wondering about that, because the guy with the the runner dude that can run really fast.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name again? Guy with the freaking loud the car pipes
You're
on his
don't
legs.
ask me names. I know who you're talking about.
All right,
I'm just gonna call him Speedy.
yeah, let's just call him Speedy. I doubt I can pronounce his real name. Anyway, that guy, his weakness is if he overcharges his legs too much, much like you gun an engine in a car. If he does that too hard, too fast, it'll stall the engine in his legs, and he can't use his power to run fast anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, Deku, he creates all that wind pressure from the intense strength he gets, but it breaks his bones and stuff. Let's see here. No, the levitation girl. If she uses her powers to levitate things for too long, boom, she gets nauseous. I mean, she just throws up everywhere.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, and it only
The
happens when
fact
she
that she's the
releases.
one making everything move and she gets motion sickness.
Yeah, but it seems like everybody has a weakness to their quirk,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never explained. Some of the powers, like the girl that could create anything out of her body, with the tits,
You
they
mean the
never
one with the
explained.
build ability or
Yeah,
creation ability or whatever
yeah,
they call it?
yeah, creation ability. She can create just about anything, but it takes time for her to create something big, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay. But what's her weakness? Is it the time limit?
I would say it's more of the time. Like anything that's fast, she can't really deal with unless she's already prepared. She has to already have everything equipped.
I mean, they never explained the nature of how her powers work and why it takes so long for her to create an electricity
I think it
resistant
probably has
blanket.
something to do with her mind as fast as she can think. Because she has to think something. That thought has to go to that part of her body, which is basically materializing something. Then it takes time for that thing to materialize. Like, have you watched Fairy Tale at all?
Yeah.
Ursa, the red-haired lady. I think it starts with a U. Not
Oh,
Ursula.
Ezra Scarlet.
Yeah, she has a similar ability, and it takes time for her to. I think she called it requip
Yeah,
her
re-equip.
things. And while
Yeah,
she's relatively much faster than most people who do it, it still takes her time to make new weapons or pull. Her ability, I guess, is more pulling weapons that she already has. She's not actually making them.
yeah. She just re-equip weapons that have already been stored in her magic armory.
Yeah.
She's a lot faster than that creation girl though. Far more deadly.
Yeah, well, she has had a lot more practice, I'd say.
Yep. But the nature of some of these guys' powers, like levitation girl, boom boom guy, they're never fully explored until they get into major fights, and then it
I do like
happens.
how they show the ups and downs. Like, there's no one who seems crazy overpowered. Like, there's downsides aside from Icy Hot, who I guess really hasn't had any reason to show any downsides. Aside from the fact that
Um,
his reaction time might be a little slow.
I think I know his weaknesses for both his powers.
Mm-hmm.
You know how he freezes and heats up things with both his left and right sides? I
Yeah.
read that he could basically raise the temperature in his own body to regulate how much he can freeze, but then he has a lower it when he uses the heat powers.
So switching takes time.
Yeah,
Mm.
if he uses his ice side, he can't use the fire side that quickly. And if he tries to use both at the same time, it basically requires him to practice equilibrium balance of keeping his body temperature normal while he does that.
He could always
And
just make
he doesn't.
steam.
Yeah, he doesn't have much practice at it though,
Mm.
so he just uses one side at a time. All right, on to the next vaunted question. What are your thoughts on Deku winning it all in the tournament arc?
I still think, assuming that the tournament doesn't get interrupted, he probably will win just barely. We
Yeah,
already
they.
had Boom Boom Man beat Levitation Girl. I can almost guarantee, like, if Deku loses against Icy Hot, I did like how when Deku, after Boom Boom Man confronting him and being like, no, that was all her. That was all her ideas. You
Yeah,
got pulled around by your nose by her. And after that, Icy Hot's Pop, Mr. Hot, comes along and tries to talk down to Deku, and Deku flat out says, I'm not All Might, and your son isn't you. This is not your victory. I'm ad libbing a little bit there at the end, but basically saying, hey, you ain't no hot shit. I mean, yes, literally, you are hot shit, but you ain't hot shit, and he's not you.
it's bad that an adult has a walk around tournament with kids in it and try to intimidate them.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I call that?
Honestly, it seems like he's trying to use Deku to push his son even farther.
Yeah,
He
he said
wants
it was
Deku
gonna.
to fight him as hard
Oh,
as he
go ahead.
can.
Yeah, he said it was gonna be a perfect test bed for his son. I was like, okay, you don't even see him as an opponent, do you?
Nah, just another hurdle.
That's just fine by me. But there's often the things you overlook that you end up tripping on.
Although I do think it would be interesting if Deku actually loses, see where this tournament, like, if Deku does lose, then I'm not saying the tournament's going to end right there, but having Deku not take part, I think would be interesting. I would like to honestly see them shine some light on the other characters. Like the fact that this last fight basically took all episode. I mean, not quite all episode. They did have to like fill like the back half
Yeah,
with a whole bunch of stuff because they didn't want to start the next fight and then have the episode end, which I can appreciate. But the last like quarter of the episode was just like, all right, we understand. You don't want to start the next fight. You're just wasting time. I got it. But the time that
yeah.
they did use and fill was at least interesting.
They're notorious for doing that in anime. They'll stall episodes in order
Which is
to,
fine. I'd rather have an entire episode of Deku and Icy Hot fighting.
the production values for that are great.
Mm-hmm.
But they got a habit of stalling in these anime in order to come up with new ideas for the next episode and animate that, and then we get it over here sometime later from a translator,
Uh-huh. Well, usually it's almost the same day whenever it's posted.
which are pretty good about. And I think as anime fans, we should
And
monetarily.
whoever's dubbing My Hero Academia is usually dubbed in English within like a week, if not less.
Yeah,
after the
they do a really
Japanese
good
air date.
job.
It's
I
not.
think as an
I'm
anime,
glad to see more and more anime actually getting dubbed. I don't mind watching dubbed anime, but I'm just mostly watching the sub so I can keep up.
yeah, that's the exact reason I watch subs for, so I can keep up at that moment. I want to wait, 2, 3 weeks for a dub version when I
Yeah.
can
Well,
watch the
this
sub
this this dub is probably the fastest dub I've ever seen, and I still don't feel like waiting.
version. I don't have the patience, man.
Now, if I had
But
come in and not seen it, I'd probably watch the dub right up until I ran out of English episodes because I'm lazy. I don't mind reading,
Dragon Ball,
but
what about Dragon Ball Super? You watched the dub of that?
I stopped watching the sub when they started putting the dub on Cartoon Network, so I'm trying to keep up with that. I've already seen way past where they are in the Cartoon Network, but I like having certain shows that I can watch every week and just kind of be like, hey, okay, I'm gonna watch this episode, then this episode, and this episode. I could watch past, but I don't wanna. I like having Dragon Ball, and if I can force myself to kind of slowly take it in, I think I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, that kind of ticks me off when they come out with a new series or something, and it's basically a continuation of a previous series, but they point you in the direction of a movie. Like Cartier said, in order to understand the plot of the new series. Like,
How do you mean?
there was no Super Saiyan Blue in Dragon Ball Z, right?
No, but
So
this is
how do
after
we
Dragon Ball Z.
so how do we get from that to Super Saiyan Blue? You know, almost within the first 10 episodes.
It kind of makes sense. They didn't know how to do it. It was just a new thing to do. On the
I
bright
mean,
side, if you're watching the show, basically the show, spoilers for anyone who decides that this is spoilers. Dragon Ball Super is effectively after Dragon Ball Z, the first canonical movies of what was it, Super Saiyan God and Resurrection F.
yeah,
Those two movies are like the first two arcs in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super. And they do a pretty good job of explaining it. I mean, does it have to really make sense? No. I mean, think about it like this. Goku went from Kaioken 10 being this amazing thing that rips his body apart, but he can do anything, to the point where Frieza makes that look like a god dang tic tac. And then Frieza kills Krillin, and then Goku makes Frieza look like a god dang tic tac. And it's basically the same thing. Like they Dragon Ball does not do power creeps. You can call it a power creep, but it is a power explosion. Every time there's a new power level, it is just through the goddamn ceiling. It didn't used to be like that. In Dragon Ball, things were relatively tame as far as like, this is stronger than this is stronger than that. Master Roshi was the strongest ever for a very long time.
yep.
And Goku came and messed it all up.
Killing King Piccolo and stuff. But after that, he grew up, got a family, and then it became a contest of who can do the most land clearing farts ever. Just
Yeah.
whoa, something like that. I mean that
On the
exactly along
bright
those
side, I
lines.
think Dragon Ball Super acknowledges that the show's goddamn ridiculous. Like, you have
Just
these guys going around who can basically accidentally blow up the entire Earth if they roll over in the bed wrong.
yet they control that power somehow, and they, you know what?
Magic.
People write a Yeah, it makes me wonder sometimes if they can destroy whole planets. How the heck do they control it enough not to destroy a continent or two when they're fighting each other?
Magic. I've given up on making Sons of Dragon Ball. That is the one show I give a free pass to.
It would take
I
me
can't even try to make sense of that show.
If I had that kind of power, it would take me years of study at least to learn how much I could release at one time and not blow away somebody's whole town.
Well, Goku is like what, 50, 60 years old?
Those Saiyans live a long time, don't they?
Yeah. Goku's been
Both of
around
them
the
live
block
very
for
long.
a bit. Died a few times.
Yeah, when he gets resurrected, it's pretty much at this age he was living at, right?
I have no idea. Saiyans don't change the way they look.
Yeah, I mean, look at Nappa. He was 50 when he came to Earth.
Yeah.
He was also bald, so you couldn't really see any gray or anything.
He had a mustache, and it was black.
It's just those sayings they don't age outwardly or inwardly. It seems it's just, but from what I can tell, half sayings like Gohan tend to age normally, and their hair grows.
And that's what it seems.
Anyway, on to our last topic of discussion. When it comes to My Hero Academia, what do you think would surprise you at this point?
I don't know. Them actually finishing this tournament and nothing silly happening.
Yeah, you said something about that earlier. If they never interrupted with a big villain arc after that.
Yeah. Like if the tournament just simply ends and then it's everything's all hunky dory for at least one episode and nothing bad happens, I'll eat my goddamn shorts. I'm
Yeah,
not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying. Like, I love My Hero Academia, and it is a pretty cool show, but it tends to be predictable.
true enough.
Which is awesome. Like, this
Um,
last episode hit me in the goddamn feels, and I loved it. Did I see it coming? Yeah. Did it matter? No, it was awesome. And that
I
freaking
just like
meteor
the show.
shower was fan-dabby-dozy. It was wonderful.
Well, it wasn't even a real meteor shower. She just floated the brick materials above his head where he wouldn't notice. And then she dropped them on him.
Okay, it was
It
an
looked like
arena shower. Better?
I mean, but it looked awesome, like you said. I didn't
Yeah.
really care that it wasn't a real meteor shower that came from outer
The show
space.
doesn't really do anything new, but it does everything old very, very well.
And you yourself said to me once that people tend to not like nostalgia so much. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, they won't watch it.
Yeah.
Well, it's six of one, half of the other for me. I like nostalgia. That's why I keep buying sequels to video games.
I like nostalgia, but I also like new things. Like I love it when something will play with your expectations. Like recently, I haven't really kept up with it, and I cannot remember the name of the show, but I remember the word land. It's basically a show where there are girls who are fighting each other with their boobs and their butts, and only their boobs and their butts.
Hey
And
Joe.
that show is surprisingly deep and inspirational, and it's just a wonderful show to the point where it's like, yes, there's fan service, and that's great, but it actually is a good show with a good story.
Oh, you were talking about K Joe. They
Yeah,
canceled that.
they did.
Too
Oh,
much.
that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it was way too much outrage. People got so butthurt over it. It objectifies women, they said.
Oh, it
It
does,
gives
but still a good show.
it gives women negative stereotypes about their bodies. We're talking about freaking
Those women
18,
are
19-year-olds.
badass. Yes, they're in bikinis, but they are still badass. Like the first on the, I think it was either the first or the second episode where you saw the pink-haired chick who literally
Yeah.
just does a spin so fast and that chick behind her just falls over. I was goddamn terrified. It didn't matter if she was sexy or not. I don't want to be anywhere near that. My dick's liable to fall off and run away.
Because this is basically what she did. She would spin so fast and use her butt to just hit him in the jaw and give him a concussion or something. A light concussion at that.
But that show is so badass.
Yeah.
It,
But it got canceled.
you could have done it with dudes, and I would still be like, wow, that is some badass butt. That is some badass booty. In fact, if it's canceled, just give me the dude version. I'll be objectified. I give no fucks. I want more of that.
Well, they did have two chicks in there that looked like Glamazons.
That was badass. Those buns of goddamn steel. Whoa. Again,
well,
terrifying.
well, folks, I think it's about time we wrap this up. We've discussed at length what we thought was important,
A little
and
off
I
the
hope you
rails.
thought it was. Yeah, it went a little bit off the rails, but I hope you thought it was important too. Thanks for listening in. I have been Fearless Soul. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as Fearless Soul. And this is my co-host, Duck McGavin. Plug
Yo,
yourself.
Duck McGavin here, DuckMcGavin on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. As well as if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you would like any other animes for us to talk about, you can email me at DuckMcGavin, the same way you spell everything else, at gmail.com. Feel free to throw your questions, comments, concerns. If you have an anime that you like or don't like, if we said something that you don't agree on, let us know. We might even talk about it on the show. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, Duck McGavin, that's me.
All right. This has been Fearless Soul. We're signing out here. Thanks for listening in.